So, if we think back to 1997, Microsoft introduced this tiny animated paperclip.
Oh, right, Clippy. Just hanging out in the corner of your screen.
Exactly, just living down there to, help you write letters.
Yeah.
And people had incredibly strong reactions to it.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, some people actually found it endearing, but a massive portion of users found it so just viscerally frustrating.
It was a cultural phenomenon of pure annoyance for a lot of folks.
Yeah, exactly. Yet today, if you look at the absolute peak of modern app design, UI designers are basically desperately trying to recreate exactly what that paperclip was attempting to do.
It's so true. I mean, you have globally dominant platforms like Duolingo, right?
It's exactly.
They're driving billion-dollar valuations off the back of, well, a little green owl.
It's wild.
And it really is one of the most fascinating paradoxes in digital design because we build these incredibly sophisticated, ruthlessly efficient software architectures.
Right.
And then we realize that human beings fundamentally struggle to connect with pure efficiency.
Because we aren't machines.
Exactly. We don't form memories around databases. We form memories around faces, around emotions, around characters.
Yeah.
And bridging that gap between binary code and human connection is, frankly, the heaviest lift in UI.
Which honestly is the perfect jumping off point for what we're getting into today. So welcome to the deep dive. I am so glad you are joining us.
Happy to be here.
If you are an upcoming UI designer or, really anyone looking to understand the psychological architecture of why certain apps stick in our brains while others just sort of fade away, we are tailoring this entire conversation specifically for you.
Because we're not just looking at surface-level aesthetics today.
No, not at all. We are going to look at the functional mechanics of visual design.
Right, moving past this old idea that illustration is just there to make things look, pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
We're examining it as a highly functional behavioral tool.
Right. Well, actually, I want to go even further than that. We're going to look at how illustration actively manipulates user behavior and cognitive load.
Oh, absolutely.
Our mission today is to break down the core design concepts from Chapter 22 of a really foundational text in the industry. It's the book called Design User Interface.
Such a great book.
It really is. And specifically, we're focusing entirely on Chapter 22, which is just entirely dedicated to illustration.
It's a critical chapter, honestly, because it reframes the whole conversation.
How so?
Well, it forces the designer to stop thinking like a traditional artist, and start thinking like an interface architect.
Okay, yes. And before we get into the psychological weeds of how that architecture actually works, I want to give you, the listener, a roadmap for how to internalize this.
Good idea.
Because if you are serious about mastering these concepts, you really need to see the visual frameworks we are discussing today. You need design user interface.
You really do. The visuals are key.
So you can find the book at hype4academy.gumroad.com/LouisBook. And honestly, the absolute easiest way to grab it is to just scan the QR code of that exact book link, which we have provided in the description below.
Yeah, just scan it. It's so much easier.
Exactly. Grab that, follow along, and while you're at it, I want to explicitly request that you follow this show.
Please do.
We are constantly doing these technical design breakdowns, delivering career-building content straight to your feed. Hitting that follow button ensures you don't miss the nuances that actually move the needle in your career.
And that nuance, right, it starts with a fundamental premise that the chapter establishes right out of the gate.
Okay, lay it on me.
Why deploy illustration and a digital product in the first place?
Right, why bother?
Exactly. The text emphasizes that using custom illustrations is a primary way of making an interface unique.
We rely on the old adage that a picture is worth 1,000 words, right?
Right, but in the context of user interface, an illustration is often deployed in place of a photograph.
Okay.
To serve as a highly specific visual representation of a really complex idea.
But let me play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
If the goal is just to visually represent an idea, say, teamwork or financial growth, why not just use a photograph?
Well,
The default for a lot of people, even designers who are under a tight deadline, is to just, grab a high-quality stock photo.
right,
We
totally.
have two business people shaking hands or a person smiling warmly at a laptop. It's fast, it's cheap, and technically it communicates the idea, so why not?
What's fascinating here is how the brain actually processes generic imagery versus custom visual data.
Okay.
The book is incredibly rigid on this point, actually. Custom illustrations are always better than pulling from stock websites. Always.
Always. That's a strong word.
It is. But the why comes down to cognitive dissonance and brand identity.
Unpack that a bit.
So stock photos are purposefully engineered to be generic, right?
Yeah, by definition.
They are shot to appeal to the widest possible demographic across the widest possible range of industries.
Which means they fundamentally lack a specific point of view.
Precisely. When a user sees a stock photo of, people shaking hands in your proprietary app, their brain subconsciously recognizes that it has seen this exact visual language 100 times before.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
On 100 different, completely unrelated websites.
Exactly. And what does that signal? It signals a lack of care.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It signals that your digital environment is not a unique, cohesive world. It's an assembled patchwork.
It's like you're handing someone a generic pre-printed greeting card from the pharmacy.
Exactly. Instead of writing a deeply personal, handwritten letter.
That makes me think about the mechanics of how we process unexpected variations in our physical environment.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Imagine you are walking down a flight of stairs in your house, right? You've walked down them a million times.
Right, your brain is totally on autopilot.
Exactly. But what if one single step is built just like 1 inch taller than all the rest?
So you're going down.
Yeah. You don't consciously notice it by looking at it, but the moment your foot hits it, you trip. Your brain is suddenly jolted out of autopilot because the underlying architecture violated a subconscious expectation.
That is a brilliant way to understand the usability aspect of visual design. Because when you drop a generic stock photo into a carefully coded, brand-specific interface, it acts exactly like that mismatched stair step.
It breaks the flow.
Right. It forces the user's brain to momentarily step out of the immersive experience of your app to process this visual anomaly.
Right, like, why is this generic guy smiling at me in my banking app?
Exactly. A custom illustration, however, does the exact opposite. It smooths the staircase.
Because it's built specifically for that environment.
Right.
The text notes that this specific custom approach does something a stock photo can almost never do.
Which is?
It adds actual emotion.
Oh, absolutely.
Makes the entire interface feel friendlier. And that friendliness is what helps users remember the content. It builds an actual relationship between the brand and the user.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of memory retention, emotion is the anchor.
Yeah, how so?
The hippocampus, the part of the brain heavily involved in memory formation, works in tandem with the amygdala.
Which processes emotion, right?
Right. Exactly. If an interface is purely data, just cold grids and text, the brain processes it and then immediately discards it.
Because there's no emotional weight attached to it.
Right. By introducing a custom illustration that induces even a micro reaction, like a tiny smile, a feeling of comfort, a sense of approachability, you are effectively telling the user's brain to bookmark this experience.
Which brings us right back to the paperclip and the owl.
Yes.
The text brings up those two massive examples to highlight the power of mascots. The Duolingo language app Mascot and the ubiquitous paperclip icon from the classic Office suite.
They are prime examples.
The text states clearly that animated mascot characters, when deployed correctly, significantly enhance the user's experience and their memorability.
It's true.
But I have to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
Is an animated mascot really a universal solution? I mean, if I am a UI designer building a high-speed trading platform or like a complex logistics dashboard for a global shipping conglomerate,
Right.
introducing a cartoon mascot feels inherently patronizing.
Yeah, that would be weird.
It feels like putting a clown in an operating room.
Mm-hmm.
Does every single app need a face to build this memory?
No, and this raises an important point about context. It's really vital to read the text's assertion carefully here.
Okay.
The text isn't demanding a mascot for every software application on Earth.
Good, because that would be terrifying.
It really would.
Yeah.
But what it is doing is highlighting the mechanism of mascots as the ultimate form of emotional illustration.
Okay, the mechanism.
Yeah. Why are the paperclip and the language app OWL so deeply ingrained in our collective memory?
Because they're annoying.
Well, maybe, but technically they perform a psychological trick. Anthropomorphism.
Okay, I'm with you.
They give a literal face to cold, functional software.
They act as a proxy for a human guide.
Yes, exactly. A software program is basically just a complex series of databases and logic gates. By introducing a character, an owl that cheers you on when you complete a Spanish lesson,
Yeah.
or a paperclip that knocks on the inside of your screen to offer formatting help, the designer fundamentally alters the relational dynamic.
It shifts the user's perception from, I am utilizing a tool, to I am interacting with a companion.
Bingo. Now, to address your pushback regarding a high-speed trading platform.
Yeah, my operating room clown.
Right. You wouldn't use a mascot, obviously, but you absolutely still utilize the principles of custom illustration to set an emotional tone.
Okay.
The emotion just changes from friendly companion to, say, unshakable institutional security.
Ah, okay. Which perfectly transitions into the rules governing how we actually create these visual assets.
Yes, the rules are crucial.
Because you can't just unleash pure, boundaryless creativity into an interface.
Absolutely not.
If custom illustrations have the power to fundamentally alter the user's psychological relationship with the software, they have to be wielded with incredible precision. You need constraints.
The book is absolutely uncompromising on this front. The fundamental rule is that the illustration style must match the brand's overall style.
It sounds like a basic tenet, like UI 101.
It does, but it is violated constantly in the real world,
Oh,
and often to disastrous psychological effect.
the text gives a pretty stark, tangible example to illustrate this.
Oh yeah, the banking one?
Right. It asks us to imagine a set of cute, vibrant, brightly colored characters, bubbly shapes, big expressive eyes.
Very playful.
That specific style is a terrible, fundamentally flawed match for a fintech or banking product.
Horrible.
But if you take those exact same cute characters and put them into an e-learning app, they're absolutely perfect for making the process feel fun and engaging.
Right, because context dictates form. And if we analyze why this matters, we have to look at the cognitive state of the user in those two different environments.
Okay, let's examine the banking example first.
When a user opens a fintech app, what is their underlying psychological need?
Security.
Yeah.
Stability. I mean, then they need to know their life savings haven't just vanished into the ether.
Exactly.
They are inherently in a state of high stakes.
Precisely. They are seeking structural rigidity. When they see an interface, they want it to project real institutional gravity.
So no bubbly cartoons.
No. If a designer drops a cute, bubbly, vibrant cartoon character into that environment, it actively subverts trust.
Wow, yeah.
The visual language is signaling frivolity and playfulness in a space where the user is demanding absolute seriousness.
The brain interprets that disconnect as a threat.
Or at least as a severe lack of professionalism.
The staircase is off by an inch again. You basically trip over the visual tone.
That's exactly it. But now let's look at the e-learning example. What is the core user emotion when starting a new learning endeavor, like trying to learn a new language or a complex new skill?
Intimidation. Vulnerability. I mean, the friction of knowing you are going to fail repeatedly before you get it right.
Right, the cognitive friction is incredibly high. So the designer's primary directive is to lower that psychological barrier to entry. In this context, those exact same cute, vibrant characters become a highly functional tool.
Because they signal safety?
Exactly. They signal to the user's amygdala, this environment is safe, this process is a game, don't be intimidated by the difficulty.
The visual style perfectly matches and mitigates the psychological requirement of the brand experience.
It really does.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
The style sets the emotional baseline. But once you have that baseline established, the text drops the hammer on execution.
Oh, it really gets strict here.
It introduces a rule of absolute non-negotiable consistency.
Yes.
It states that designers must use the exact same stroke type, the exact same stroke width, the same fill type, and the same coloring across all illustrations.
The text emphasizes that you are not just creating individual pictures,
Right.
You're creating a family of images. And in a family, the genetic traits must be visibly shared.
I found the text's warning about mixing styles to be incredibly revealing, actually.
The outlining rule.
Yes, it explicitly states that if you are using outlined images, like minimal line drawings, you cannot suddenly drop in an illustration that is in full color.
No, you absolutely cannot.
Because it will completely confuse your users.
It creates a severe fracture in the visual reality you've built.
It makes me think about an orchestra.
Okay.
Imagine you are sitting in a world-class symphony hall. The entire orchestra is in formal wear, perfectly tuned, playing this sweeping, complex classical piece.
Sounds lovely.
You are totally immersed. And then right in the middle of the string section, one single musician stands up with a brass saxophone and just starts wailing a frantic, loud jazz solo.
Wow. I mean, both the classical piece and the jazz solo are perfectly valid, beautiful art forms in isolation.
Right, just like line drawings and full-color 3D renderings are both valid styles of UI illustration.
Exactly.
But when you mix them together in the same interface, without warning, it completely shatters the immersion.
It really does.
It pulls the user out of the seamless digital experience and forces them to consciously process the jarring difference. They literally stop listening to the music and they just stare at the saxophone player.
That analogy gets right to the heart of cognitive ease.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Consistency in stroke width and the roundness of shapes and the textures used, these aren't just aesthetic guidelines for making things look pretty.
What are they?
They are strict usability rules.
Okay.
When the visual rules of your illustrations remain flawlessly consistent, the user's brain stops processing the style of the illustration entirely.
Oh, well.
The cognitive load required to interpret the visual language drops to near zero, and that allows the brain to instantly process the meaning of the illustration instead.
So you stop seeing the brush strokes and you just absorb the message.
Exactly. And speaking of the building blocks of visual language, the text makes a really critical mandate regarding color.
Right, color consistency.
Just as you would rigorously adjust photographs to have a cohesive tone, your custom illustrations need a tightly controlled, consistent color palette.
And crucially, the text argues that it is highly beneficial if that palette is derived directly from the brand itself.
It builds a walled garden.
It does. The text specifically mentions that when you are creating user avatars for an app, you need to remember to keep that consistent palette.
Right.
Ideally, you use a mix of your specific brand colors. So if your app's brand identity is built entirely around deep navy blues, soft mint greens, and a specific shade of coral.
Right. Your user avatar shouldn't suddenly feature neon pinks and harsh, high-contrast yellows. It is all about reinforcing the ecosystem at every possible touch point. Every single time the user sees that specific mint green applied to a beautifully rounded, uniformly stroked illustration, their visual cortex fires a subconscious connection.
It reinforces the thought. I am securely within this specific app. I understand the rules of this environment.
Exactly. It builds a profound sense of digital place.
Okay, so let's map this out for the junior designer listening right now.
Let's do it.
They have absorbed these concepts. They have completely ditched the generic stock photos.
Good move.
They have meticulously crafted custom illustrations that perfectly match the brand's emotional tone. Serious and structural for a banking app, or playful and vibrant for a learning platform.
Right.
They have rigorously enforced their constraints. The stroke width is pixel perfect across the board, the fill type is identical, the brand color palette is seamlessly integrated.
Perfect.
They have birthed this beautiful, perfectly consistent family of images. So the vital question becomes, where do you deploy them to achieve the maximum psychological impact?
That is the big question.
Where do they do the most heavy lifting?
Well, the text points us directly to the highest stakes moment in any digital product's lifecycle.
Which is?
The very first second a user opens the app.
Which brings us to the architecture of first impressions.
Yes.
The onboarding process.
Product onboarding is identified by the text as the absolute ideal place for these custom illustrations.
That makes sense.
The book advises that if you are planning to onboard your users using a couple of introductory steps, which is really the standard best practice for any complex application, illustrating those steps is paramount.
Because it makes the experience fun and, crucially, easier to remember.
Exactly.
The text actually provides some incredibly practical, tangible examples of the kind of copywriting you pair with these illustrations.
Oh, like the welcome screens?
Right.
Right.
For instance, a screen displaying a welcoming illustration paired with the text, "Welcome to the app," immediately followed by a clear call to action like, "See what we can do."
Simple, clear.
Or, if you're utilizing a mascot, a screen introducing them with the text, "I will be your guide," paired with, "Discover the benefits."
The text is explicitly clear that first impressions count immensely here.
You only get one, right?
Right. Being unique, being funny, and being highly engaging is a strategic necessity when a user first launches your product. This is your one unrepeatable chance to set the emotional tone for the entire user lifecycle.
But, the text introduces a massive caveat here, and it's honestly one of the most important warnings in the entire chapter.
The animation warning.
We have to talk about animations.
Yeah.
The text notes that, yes, you can animate these onboarding illustrations. You can use parallax effects on a few layers to create a sense of depth and make it look premium.
Right, a little motion is good.
But there are incredibly strict limits. The exact phrasing from the book is, don't go too crazy with animating everything.
It advocates heavily for restraint,
Okay,
using animations only as subtle highlights.
I want to dig into the mechanics of this.
Yeah.
Why is there a strict speed limit on animation during onboarding?
Well,
Why not just dazzle the user with everything you've got? Show off a little.
I see what you're saying, but
I think about it like going on a guided tour of a massive historic city you've never visited before.
oh yeah, I like your analogies.
You want a tour guide who is engaging and knowledgeable. But imagine you show up and the tour guide is screaming through a megaphone, doing backflips down the cobblestone streets, throwing confetti in the air, and running in frantic circles while pointing at buildings.
You wouldn't retain a single historical fact.
Nothing.
You would just be trying to survive the sensory overload of the tour guide.
It would be exhausting
Oh.
and deeply distracting.
Exactly.
If every single element on an app's onboarding screen is simultaneously bouncing, fading in, spinning, and sliding across the grid,
Right.
the user's eye has no idea where to anchor. They completely miss the actual structural message, the text explaining, "See what we can do," because their brain is just overwhelmed trying to process all the kinetic chaos.
This touches on the fundamental limitations of human attention and cognitive bandwidth.
Okay, lay some science on us.
Why do the subtle highlights the text suggests, like a ringing bell or a character simply winking, why do they work so much better psychologically?
Yeah, why do they?
It actually comes down to evolutionary biology and motion tracking.
Wait, really? How so?
The human eye is evolutionarily hardwired to detect motion in our peripheral vision as a survival mechanism.
Oh, to spot predators.
Exactly. Motion immediately commands our attention. It bypasses almost everything else.
Okay.
During the onboarding phase, the user is already in a state of high cognitive load.
Right, they're actively trying to learn how your interface works.
Right. Their brain is processing new typography, new layout structures, new brand colors, and new navigational paradigms all at once.
That's a lot.
It is. So if you overload their visual cortex with excessive competing motion on top of all that, you create a processing bottleneck.
The brain literally can't parse what is important versus what is just decoration.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The subtle animation, however, acts as a focused, strategic anchor.
Okay.
By animating just one small, specific element, the gentle winking eye of a mascot, or the soft vibration of a bell icon next to a notification prompt, you hijack that evolutionary motion tracking instinct for a functional purpose.
Oh, that's brilliant.
You draw the user's focus exactly where you want it to be, gently guiding their eye toward the accompanying text and the Discover the Benefits button.
Without redlining their processing power.
Exactly.
It is the difference between a screaming tour guide and a guide who simply gives you a polite, knowing wink and gently points toward the monument.
Perfectly said.
It directs your attention without assaulting your senses. It's basically using design to hack human psychology in the most elegant way possible.
It really is.
So let's play out the rest of this user journey.
Let's do it.
The user has downloaded the app. They've experienced this beautifully crafted, subtly animated, perfectly brand-consistent onboarding sequence.
They're feeling good.
Right. They're feeling psychologically safe, they trust the brand tone, and they hit Get Started. They are finally dropped into the actual core interface of the app.
Exciting moment.
But, and this is a big but they are a brand new user.
Yep.
They haven't generated any data yet. They haven't added friends to a network. They haven't created a new project file. They haven't received a single transaction or email.
Yeah.
What happens when the core screen of your beautiful app is just, well, empty?
That specific scenario is the absolute moment of truth for user retention.
Yeah.
Yes. And it brings us to one of the most frequently overlooked yet absolutely critical components of interface design.
Which is?
Designing the nothing.
The empty state.
Eh.
Or, as the text specifically refers to it, the inbox zero scenario.
Right. The book defines this as the version of a screen that simply does not have any data populated yet.
Okay.
The classic example given is imagining a user who has just set up a brand new email account. Or perhaps they are just an incredibly highly organized person who aggressively archives everything and they have literally zero messages in their inbox.
Now, if you look at lazy or rushed design, the default choice for this scenario is to show a massive blank white page.
Oh, it's the worst.
Maybe there's a tiny, incredibly faint gray line of text floating in the middle that just says no messages.
Yeah, totally uninspired.
But the text argues passionately against this.
It does.
It states that instead of a blank page, designers must use an icon or an illustration to explicitly explain why the inbox is empty.
And crucially, The text mandates that the design cannot stop at mere explanation.
What else does it need?
It demands the inclusion of a call to action, a CTA.
Right. The text provides the exact framework. An illustration paired with text like, your inbox is empty, write a message.
Exactly.
It doesn't just observe the emptiness. It explicitly commands the user on what to do next to fix it.
Because if you don't, they're lost.
To me, the difference between a blank page and an illustrated empty state is basically the difference between horrible physical architecture and great physical architecture.
Okay, walk me through that.
Imagine navigating a large office building. Encountering an undesigned blank digital page is like walking down a hallway and stepping into a stark, white, windowless room with no doors and no signage.
That sounds terrifying, actually.
All right, you look around, you see absolutely nothing of value, you have no idea what your next action should be, so the only logical choice is to turn around and leave the building entirely. The literal dead end.
It induces an immediate subconscious sense of abandonment for the user.
Yeah.
They feel like the system has failed them, or they have just reached the end of the usable software.
But an illustrated empty state one, equipped with a custom brand-aligned drawing and a vibrant, clear call to action that changes the architecture entirely.
It does.
It's like walking into a room that has a beautifully designed welcome mat, a piece of art on the wall that makes you smile, and a brightly lit, unmissable exit sign pointing exactly to the next hallway.
Much better experience.
You know exactly where you are, you know why you're there, and you know exactly where you're supposed to go next.
That architectural analogy perfectly encapsulates the functional power of the empty state.
Thanks.
Let's really unpack the concept of Inbox Zero as a psychological moment of high friction, though. When a user navigates to a course screen and sees a completely blank void, even if they logically know they just created the account 5 seconds ago,
Right.
there is a microsecond of cognitive doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
The brain asks, did the application crash? Did my data fail to load from the server? Did I click the wrong tab? Is it broken?
It induces a tiny, almost imperceptible spike of anxiety. A micro-stressor.
Exactly, and microstressors accumulate.
Yeah, they do.
Leading to app abandonment. By adding a fun custom illustration, you instantly diffuse that anxiety.
I take a deep breath.
Right. And the text makes a fascinating allowance here.
Oh.
It notes that because an empty state is a relatively rare sight for most active users, designers are actually granted permission to make it a little more fun.
A little more whimsical than the rest of this standard product interface.
Yes. You are using delight to assure the user the application is working perfectly, it's just empty right now, don't panic.
But the true strategic genius of the empty state is the call to action. By adding that button that says write a message, the designer is fundamentally altering the user's trajectory.
You are turning a literal dead end into a launch pad.
You are forcing a psychological shift. You are taking a user who is in a passive state, just staring blankly at an empty screen, waiting to consume content, and you are prompting them into a proactive content creation state.
You are actively driving engagement.
Right.
And as the chapter concludes, having a truly engaging empty state design doesn't just prevent them from leaving.
What else does it do?
It will actively delight your users and make them remember the product.
Yeah.
It's those tiny moments of unexpected care and delight in a digital space where they fully expected to find nothing that truly cements long-term brand loyalty.
It is genuinely incredible how much deep, strategic, psychological thinking goes into the microscopic parts of an application that most users barely even consciously register.
It's the invisible art of UI.
The stroke wick of a vector line, the subtle motion of a single winking eye, the layout of a screen that has literally no data on it.
Everything matters.
And that is exactly why we do these deep dives. We want to give you, the designer listening right now, the X-ray vision to see the intention and the behavioral mechanics behind every single pixel.
Because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Exactly. So let's briefly recap the events journey we've taken today, specifically for those of you who are looking to master these concepts and elevate your career.
Let's do it.
We started by tearing down the reliance on generic stock photos, understanding that they introduce cognitive dissonance.
Right.
Instead, we embrace the profound emotional power of custom illustrations, and specifically, the anthropomorphic power of mascots, to bridge the gap between binary code and human memory.
A crucial first step.
From there, we locked down the rigorous, non-negotiable constraints required to build a visual ecosystem.
The rules.
We explored how perfectly matching your brand's emotional tone and strictly enforcing the rules of stroke width, fill type, and brand color consistency are not just aesthetic choices.
No, they're usability imperatives.
Right. They ensure cognitive ease and build deep user trust. We then deployed that family of images into the most critical phase of the user lifecycle, the onboarding process.
First impressions.
We learned the evolutionary biology of motion tracking, realizing that subtle, targeted animation acts as a gentle, guiding anchor.
While over-animating turns your app into a screaming tour guide that overwhelms the user's cognitive load.
Exactly. And finally, we stared into the void of the nothingness of empty states. We learned that an empty inbox is never just a blank page.
It's an opportunity.
It is a psychological friction point that must be diffused with delight, and a brilliant opportunity to deploy a call to action that transforms passive observation into active, loyal engagement.
It provides an incredibly comprehensive framework for thinking about visual design, not as decorative art, but as a behavioral interface.
Absolutely. And if you want to truly internalize this framework, you really need to study the source material.
Strongly agree.
A massive reminder that all of this incredible, highly tactical insight comes directly from Chapter 22 of the book, Design User Interface.
Such a valuable resource.
It really is. You can find it at hype4academy.gumroad.com/lubook. But again, don't even worry about typing that URL out.
Just scan it.
Exactly. Just open the description of this deep dive right now and instruct the listener, well, I'm instructing you right now, that you can buy the book by scanning the QR code of the book link provided in the description below.
Easy as that.
It'll take you right there so you can buy it and see these visual examples for yourself. And please hit that follow button for the show.
Yes, please follow.
I want to explicitly request the audience to follow for more technical design breakdowns and career building content. We have so many more of these deep dives coming your way, and you will not want to miss them as you build your skill set.
Well said. To wrap up our discussion today, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, based strictly on the psychological premises we've unpacked from the text today.
Ooh, leave them with something good.
I will try. We've established that custom illustrations are a functional tool used to build a unique brand relationship.
Right.
And that the inbox zero empty state is a rare, highly leveraged opportunity for unexpected fun and engagement.
Yes, turning the dead end into a launch pad.
Exactly. So my question for you as an upcoming designer looking to make your mark is this. Look at the software or the apps you use every single day.
Okay.
Find the absolute most overlooked, boring, purely functional, dead-end part of that digital interface.
Like a loading screen.
A loading screen, a forgotten settings menu, an error state.
Yeah.
How can you apply the rigorous rules of custom illustration, emotional tone, and proactive calls to action we discussed today to turn that completely dead space into the next globally recognized, deeply beloved icon of tomorrow?
Think about how you can take that cold glass, that rigid metal screen, and make it inherently, unforgettably human. Thanks for listening.